All right. Good morning. We are going to be looking at um, the chapters 32 or 31 to 34 this today, and we're going to be looking at an important aspect of the journey of the Israelites, and that is we're going to look at the story of the golden calf and all of that which it represents. So we are going to be in Exodus chapter 31 through to chapter 34. We hope to deal with that as we look at, I think this should be session 12, I think.
Eddie, section
Um,
11.
okay, session 11, yes. Session 11 on the case of the golden calf, Israel's sin and the golden calf. That's what we're going to be looking at. All right. Now, if we look at chapter 31, let's begin with chapter 31. And we're going to be having two sets of persons that are emphasized here, or two things that are emphasized here in chapter 31. We're looking at o- Oholiab and Bezalel. All right, Bezalel, or however we pronounce his name. And so, as I normally do, in terms of the outline for this chapter, what we're going to see in chapter 31, we can divide chapter 31 in two sections. Okay, the first section that we want to look at is the work of Oholiab and Bezalel. All right, and that is going to be from verse 1 through to verse 11. What was their contribution to the development of Israel? What is their contribution towards uh, the tabernacle and towards their journey into Israel, into Canaan? So those are the two aspects that we want to look at in terms of verses 1 to 11. When we get to verses 12 through to the end of the chapter, which is the second division, what we're going to be having is instructions about the Sabbath. All right, now this is crucial. It is this part of the chapter is informative on the first hand, and on the other, it is inspiring. This chapter is setting the stage, or we can see how and why chapter 32 to 34 is going to be a significant moment in the life of Israel, because what we're going to see from moving on from chapter 31, from moving from chapter 31, is Israel's sin.
Hey, can we
And
do some mic mutes? I'm getting a lot of static off somebody.
yeah, okay, whoever is on, can you just mute your mic? All right, okay. So we're seeing the yeah, mute your mic for a minute, please. I don't know if it is Patrick or Emmanuel. Just mute your mic until. All right, okay. So what we're going to see is the inspiring, informative section. We're going to see Israel's sin, the case of the golden calf, and the breaking of the two tablets of stone. All right. Now let's look at chapter 31, and let's go through to from verse 1 to verse 11. Could somebody read from verse 1 to 11 for me? All right, chapter 31, verse 1 to 11.
Exodus chapter 31. Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, See, I have called by name Bezalel. How do you say that name?
I would say Bezalel. Bezalel.
Bezalel, the son of
Yeah.
Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. I have filled him with the Spirit of God and wisdom and understanding and knowledge and in all kinds of craftsmanship, to make artistic designs for work in gold and silver and bronze and in cutting stones for settings and in the carving of wood, that he may work in all kinds of craftsmanship. And behold, I myself have appointed him Oholiab, the son of Azamah of the tribe of Dan, and in the hearts of all who are skillful I have put skill, that they may make all that I have commanded you, the tent of meeting and the ark of testimony and the mercy seat upon it, and all the furniture of the tent, the table also and its utensils, and the pure gold lampstand with all its utensils, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offerings also with all its utensils, and the laver and its stand, the woven garments as well, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons with which to carry on their priesthood, the anointing oil also, the fragrant incense for the holy place. They are to make them according to all that I have commanded you.
All right. This is going to play an important part. When we look at verses 1 to 2, all right, we have a description of Bezalel. We have a very distinct description of Bezalel. Okay? So, what do we know of him? God says, I have. Well, first of all, we know that he's the son of Uri, and he's from Hur, the son of Hur, the tribe of Judah. Now, do you remember who Hur was? Does the name Hur ring a bell to you? Right here in Exodus, you remember when Moses was fighting with the Amalekites?
Mm-hmm.
Who were the two persons that held up Moses' hand?
It was Joshua and Caleb, wasn't it?
No,
no, Joshua and Aaron.
It was Aaron, but there was somebody else. It was her.
Yeah.
Yes, Patrick. Who was it?
That's true.
It's her. Well, as somebody
Aaron and her, chapter 7.
Was with Aaron to hold
17 verse 10.
Hand.
Exodus 17:10. It was her and Aaron.
Yeah, 17 verse 10.
Yes. Okay. But now here's somebody, the joke says that it was that her was him, was a him, not a she. All right. But it's her. No, we're told here that Bezalel was the son of Hur. Okay, significant. Now God says, I have filled him with the Spirit of God. Notice what we have here. He has been filled with the Spirit of God. One, he has the ability, he has the intelligence, he has the knowledge of all the craftsmanship. Good. he is able to devise artistic designs. He could work in gold, silver, and bronze. He could cut stones for setting. So he was an artisan. He was a skilled artisan. So what we see here is that God is putting Bezalel as the foreman for the construction of the tabernacle. And we see how skilled he was. He was going to be like a foreman. God says, I have appointed him to be that. All right. So what we have in verses 1 to 5 is a description of his heritage, a description of his skill, and a description of his ability. So we have his skill, his ability, and his heritage in verses 1 to 5. But now here is something else that is important about Bezalel. All right, wait for it. Watch this now. Bezalel is the word, and I'm going to give it to you, the word B-E-T S-A-L-E-L. What does E-L mean? What does L mean?
God.
God. Okay. So his name actually means in or under the shadow of God. That's what his name means, Betsael. In the shadow of God, or you could say under the shadow of God. Now, here is something else. It also has the idea of being under the special protection of the Most High. That's what his name means. In the shadow of, under the shadow of, and also it has to do with the special protection of the Most High. That's what his name means. All right? Now, Bezalel is the grandson of Hur, H-U-R. That's one. And additional information we have of him. The other information we have of him in these verses 1 to 5 is that he is from the tribe of Judah. Good? Our Lord sprang from the tribe of Judah. So he and Christ are coming from the same tribe. I don't want to make any significant point from that, but just that he and Christ were born from the same tribe or members of the same tribe. But here is what tradition says, and I'm saying this is what biblical tradition says. Biblical tradition says that he was Miriam's husband. That he was. So what would that make him to Moses?
Brother-in-law.
He's Moses' brother-in-law. That's just biblical scholars' tradition and opinion of what they think he is. All right? Now, so we know very significantly information about Bezalel and why he is going to be critical in the construction of the temple. Now here is something else. Let's now look from verse 6 to verse 11. The other person that we have is Oholiab. Oholiab. All right. Now, we also have some information about Oholiab. If you look at verse 6, all right. Verse 6. And behold, I have appointed with him Oholiab, the son of Ashamach, of the tribe of Dan. And now notice what God says about him as well. God says, I have given it to all men ability that they may make all that I have commanded you. So Oholiab is going to be also instrumental in contributing his skill to the temple, to the tabernacle. Now, what's his skill? While Bezalel was a craftsman, artisan, Oholiab is involved in cloth work. So he is very good at making cloth work, right? Not only is he making cloth work, but he is a skilled furniture maker. And he is involved with incense. So what does the name Oholiab means? It means the tabernacle of the Father. That's what his name means, the tabernacle of the Father. Or the Father is my tabernacle. That's what his name means. So, Oholiab is from the tribe of Dan. No, so what God has done here is to appoint Bezalel to be the chief artisan. He's making all of it. He's dealing with gold and silver and bronze, with the metal work aspect of it. And Oholiab is involved with the furniture, the woodwork, and the cloth. Right? And God is saying, you two men, because of your skill, you are going to be instrumental in making what I need for the tabernacle.
Hey, Brother
All
Fisher.
right? Yes.
Does this first part in 3 carry over to both of these men, where they were both filled with the Spirit of God, or is that specifically for Bezalel?
Both of them were.
Okay. I just didn't want to misconstrue it. I didn't.
Yes, both of them were. But I'm glad you brought up that chip. You know why? Because here is what is happening. Is it that they were filled with the Spirit of God and God just said to them, okay, now you can go and make this and now you can go and make that? You see, they naturally had that ability, that skill. Now God is going to empower them. Yes, going to give them, how do I put it? Make them more efficient, but God is using their
Can we say
ability.
inspiration?
Say it again.
Inspiration.
Yes,
Is God
right.
going to inspire
Inspiration.
them?
Exactly. So it's like you might have naturally, or because of your job, you might be a very skillful painter. That's your craft. God is now going to inspire you, improve that skill, that ability that you have for his purpose. And that's what God has done with these two men. And they are going to be very instrumental in building the temple, the tabernacle. So what is happening here? God is preparing them. God is preparing them and his people for the work of the tabernacle. God is preparing these people whom he has redeemed. God is preparing them now to work and to prepare them for the tabernacle that he's going to come and dwell with them in. Remember, he had given instructions that everybody should bring their jewelry and whatever, and he's telling Moses, this is how I want it to be done. So God now is working out his purpose and saying, okay, you have the blueprint, you have what you want. Now I need men who are actually going to do the work. These two men are going to be the lead in preparing for the tabernacle. All right?
Question.
Okay. Yes.
So we've got to make some sort of connection here, right? Between, I mean, this is making me think of Pentecost kind of to a degree. So when, Paul had said in Corinthians where the Spirit would determine what one of these gifts that someone would have. So this looks kind of like these men already kind of had a gift, and maybe so. Is this? I guess the question I'm asking, would people in this New Testament setting, would it kind of be based similar to that? Like, say, this guy was really good at talking, and then the Spirit came to him and allowed him to speak in tongues.
All right. Yeah, because, and here's what happened now. That is this is the issue with the laying on of hands, where the apostles would impart certain gifts through the laying on of hands, and not everybody had the same gift. Some had the gift of knowledge, some had the gift of encouragement, exhortation, some had the gift of faith. You see? So okay. What's your skill, Emmanuel? What are you good at? Or Chip or Patrick, one of you?
I'm an encourager.
No, I mean in terms of work. All right. Are you a good mechanic? Are you a good?
I can fix houses.
You can fix houses. What about you, Emmanuel? A good painter, good plumber, good whatever.
Oh, laboratory staff.
Say it again.
Laboratory.
Okay. Like a plumber.
Nah. Laboratory. As in terms of checking the kind of diseases, examine or all kinds of diseases.
Okay, all right. So that's your talent. That's what you're good at.
Yes.
What God does know, for you to serve the church, God would empower you in your ability to do this already, to become better at it for his purpose. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that is basically what is the case. So in terms of God asking these men to become what he wants them to become, And that is what he's doing with these two men. Why? He's preparing his people to build the tabernacle because he is going to now dwell with them in the tabernacle. Remember, he says the tabernacle is the place where I'm going to dwell with you. All right? So that is the first half of chapter 31. Now look at the second half of chapter 31. In this second half, God is instituting, teaching them, reminding them whatever about the Sabbath. Now, and the Lord said to Moses, you are to speak to the people of God, of Israel, and say, above all, you shall keep my Sabbaths, for this is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord that sanctify you. You shall keep the Sabbath because it is holy for you. Everyone who profanes it shall be put to death. Whoever does any work on it, that soul shall be cut off from among the people. 6 days shall work be done. And so what he does, he outlines what is expected on and about the Sabbath. Now, here are some things that we need to keep in mind. Number one, the Sabbath is a sign. It says it is a sign between you and your generation and me. All right? Now, what is the purpose of a sign? The purpose of a sign is to point to something else. The sign is pointing to something else. Well, what is the Sabbath sign pointing to?
Jesus.
No, look at verse 6. No, not Jesus. Look at verse 15. All right? It is the Sabbath is a sign because you are going to remember, watch this now, that verse 15, 6 days you shall labor, you shall do 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath shall be put to death. Therefore, the people of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath throughout their generations as a covenant forever. It is a sign forever between me and you. What God is saying is this. This Sabbath is a sign of the ending of my creative work. So he's taking them back to creation. It's a sign between me and you to remind you that I am creator. I created the world in 6 days, and in the 7th day I ceased my labor. My labor was complete. Therefore, I am having this sign between me and you, not anybody else. Between me and you, Israel, throughout your generations, for you to remind yourself of what I did in creation. Now, it is not a sign for all of mankind. It is a sign between me and you. Not only that, it is a sign for a particular duration, for your generation. Good? So, here is what is happening now. The second thing is, whoever profanes the Sabbath, it is going to be one of the capital offenses. Get me? Remember when we look at the casuistic and the apodictic laws? When the law was being given in chapter 20 and to 24? This one is a capital murder. That's not capital murder, I'm sorry. This one is...
Eddie.
Yes.
Please, with the first point, why is God linking the Sabbath to the beginning of creation?
Okay,
but that's
good
what
question.
gives the impression that he's reminding the whole world that we are supposed to observe Sabbath.
All right. Okay. Are you married, Patrick?
Yes, please.
Are you married? Huh?
Yeah, yes, Eddie.
Okay, all right. When you gave your wife that ring as a sign, was it between you and every other woman, or was it just between you and her?
Between me and her.
Good. Now, if the Sabbath is a sign between God and the children of Israel, how could it be a sign for everybody else? Because he does not say it is a sign between me and the whole world. It's a sign between me and you, Israel, nobody else. It was not a sign between me and the Egyptians. It was not a sign between me and the Amorites. It was not a sign between me and the Edomites. No, it's a sign between you and Israel, me and Israel. So that's the first thing. So for a person to say, okay, it's going back to creation, therefore it's for everybody. No, nobody kept it until after the children of Israel left Egypt. So it couldn't be a sign between you and the whole world. That's one. Why is God giving them the Sabbath to remind them of what? The Sabbath for God was the day in which he ended all his work. Good. And it's not that God was tired, so he rested. No, it is the case that God ceased from working in the creation week on the Sabbath or on the seventh day. God is saying, I'm going to make that special day for you as well. It's like okay, let's say my birthday is on the 20th of December, and I want to celebrate it, right? So I'm going to say every year on the 20th of December, all of my friends and family will come together to celebrate this day. It's special to me, so I'm making it special for you as well. And that's all that God is doing. But it is a sign between God and Israel. It's not a sign between God and every other nation. You see my point, Patrick?
Yeah, Eddie, thank you. But can it be said that since it looks like this is the first time God is actually revealing the number of days that he used to create God, that is for Moses and Israel. Can we say that?
Yes, we can. And what it shows is that the Sabbath was never kept from creation. because it's as if they're going into a new kind of experience. I don't want to go sidetrack, but there's a case in Numbers when a man was gathering sticks on the Sabbath, and nobody knew what to do with him, not even Moses, because it was something new. God had to go to Moses had to go to God and say, God, what do I do here? God says, well, he must be put to death. See what I'm saying? So the idea here that the Sabbath was for the whole world cannot be sustained by this verse. All right, so that's chapter 31. Yeah, so what we see in chapter 31 is God preparing to make the tabernacle, to have the tabernacle constructed so he can dwell with his people. All right, now let's go into chapter 32. Now, chapter 32, we're almost...
You didn't finish with the profaning, attracting capital punishment.
Okay, the idea is that the Sabbath was a capital, breaking the Sabbath was a capital offense. Remember we said the capital offenses were capital because they would undermine the theocratic nature of Israel. It would undermine the whole nation. So those laws that undermined the integrity, sanctity, separateness of the nation were usually capital offenses. So in the case of the Sabbath, God says, if you break it, whoever breaks the Sabbath, works on the Sabbath, will be put to death. But now here is something else. Verse 16. And he gave to Moses, when he had finished speaking with him on Mount Sinai, the 2 tables of stone written with the finger of God. I'm almost sure that I had gone through with the finger of God already, but I just want to make the point that all that means is that by the power of God, by the authority of God. Because God does not have fingers. It's an anthropomorphic term, meaning that God, it is the finger of God, the power of God, written by the authority of God. That's all that it means. And it doesn't mean that because it is written with the authority of God, it can't be changed, because we know that is not the case. But the whole point with the Sabbath here is that it was a capital, breaking the Sabbath was a capital offense. You should be stoned if you profaned it, if you broke it. All right? Now, let's see if we can venture into chapter 32. When we get to chapter 32, it's almost shock. We're given a sort of a shock treatment. Why is it shock treatment? Because you see, what we just read in chapter 31 is where God is outlining the specifications for the tabernacle, how he's going to dwell with them, and he's also going to be giving them how they should be worshiping him. All right, on the Sabbath. Now, what we have here is something that is going to be out of the ordinary. All right, so let's look at chapter 32, and we are going to look. I want us to read from verse 1 to 6. All right, so could somebody read from verses 1 to 6 for me? All right, Exodus chapter 32.
Now, when the people saw that Moses delayed coming down from the mountain, the people gathered together to Aaron and said to him, "Come, make us gods that shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." And Aaron said to them, "Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." So all the people broke off the golden earrings which were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. And he received the gold from their hand, and he fashioned it with an engraving tool and made a modeled calf. Then they said, "This is your God, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt." So when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made a proclamation and said, "Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord." Then they rose early on the next day, offered burnt offerings, and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Amen.
All right, you just stop there. You just stop there. All right. What is it that we're having here now? Let me hear some comments from you. What is happening here now in these verses?
Idolatry,
All right, idolatry.
the beginning of idol worship in Israel.
Okay, the beginning of idolatrous worship in Israel.
It's the
Okay,
breaking of the covenant.
the breaking of the covenant. All right. Anything else?
I see
All
the
right. Watch.
Israelites are impatient.
Their impatience. Israelites' impatience. Okay.
Brother
Now,
Fisher, could they not? When we're reading this, it makes it sound like the people could see Moses on the mountain
well, they
talking to
knew
God.
he was on the mountain.
Right, but I mean, how can you forget it?
Good
This
question.
whole story like blows me away. God using broken people. I mean, Aaron turns out to be the high priest. He's got to roll for all of us, no matter what shenanigans we pull, I suppose.
All right. Here are some things. Now, I want us to look at these verses. All right. I want to look at these verses because these verses are important. All right. Now, God has just outlined to them how he's going to dwell with them, how he is going to be worshipped. All right. Now, Moses is on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. All right. So let's go back to chapter 24 and verse 18. All right. Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain. And Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. That's chapter 24, verse 18. Now, here is what the Israelites are saying. The people saw, watch this, the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain. In other words, they knew he was on the mountain. What was he doing on the mountain? He is getting instructions from God about how they should be worshipped rather than how he should be worshipped. All right? The people gather themselves together, and here's what they said to Aaron. Up, make us gods who shall go before us. As for this Moses, watch this, the man who brought us up out of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. Really? You really, do you really mean that it is the gods that are going to go before you? I thought that God was asking you to make the tabernacle so that he can dwell in the midst of you as you travel to Canaan. How now you are asking for gods to go before you? Didn't God say that I will be with you? I will dwell with you. I will make you a kingdom of priests. He said that in Exodus 19:6. But now, make us gods. Who shall go before us? Well, what do we think as for this Moses? It is Moses, watch this, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt. Really? I thought that it was God who bore you on eagle's wings. I thought that when you were at the Red Sea, that it was God who delivered you. I thought it was God who redeemed you. Why are you saying now it is Moses, the man who brought you out? It wasn't Moses. See what I'm saying? But now here's something else. So Aaron says, watch this now. Take the rings of gold that are in your ears of your wives, your sons and your daughters, bring them to me. So all the people took off the rings of gold that were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. Where did they get that gold from? Where did they get so much gold from?
From Egypt when they were leaving.
Egypt.
From Egypt when they were leaving. Who caused them to get so much gold?
God.
God.
For his
God.
purpose.
For his purpose. Now, what are these people doing?
Using it for something other than his purpose.
Using it for something other than the purpose of which God has done. Using it to make gods. But now watch, here's what Aaron does. Aaron took it. He received the gold from their hand and fashioned it with a graving tool and made a golden calf. So what we see here is that Aaron is very instrumental in doing what? Aaron took the gold, he made the gold into a calf, fashioned it into a calf. And then what does he say? These are the gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. When Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made a proclamation and said, tomorrow shall be a feast of the Lord. Aaron, you are saying that this is the gods that brought us up out of Egypt? You, Aaron? That's what Aaron is saying, you know. And not only what is that, not only that Aaron is saying that, Aaron is saying, we are going to make a festival tomorrow. We're going to make a festival, a feast tomorrow, and we're going to celebrate this God that brought us up out of the land of Egypt. All right. So that's what we have here. Now, so in verses 1 to 6, watch this now. The people become impatient with Moses, and they go to Aaron, the leader, and made gods that they're going to now worship. All right. So here's what he does. He fashions and makes this graven image. All right. Now, that is up to verse 6. Now, look at verses 7 to verse 10. Verse 7 to 10. Now watch this now. All right, somebody read verses 7 to 10 for me. In fact, let's leave with 7 to 10 first.
And the Lord said to Moses, Go, get down, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded calf, and worshipped it and sacrificed to it, and said, This is your God of Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said to Moses, I have seen the people, and indeed it is a stiff-necked people.
Yeah, to verse 10.
Now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them, and I will make of you a great nation.
What is happening here? Any comments? Comments on this? Anything that strikes you here? Anything that's what strikes you here?
God seems to be fed up.
The corruption came from themselves.
Corruptions came from themselves. All right. Anything else?
God's anger.
Now, God's anger. All right. Watch this now. In God, once they have done this, God immediately ends the meeting with Moses. Meeting stop. Right? And what does God say to Moses? Look at verse 7. Moses, this meeting is now cancelled. We're abandoning the meeting. Go down. What does God say he must do? Look at verse 7 and tell me what God says.
And the Lord said to Moses, Go, get down, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves.
All right, stop there. Anything strikes you in those words? Does anything in those verses jump out
He
at you?
says it's Moses's people, not his.
Exactly. God says to look at Moses, go down because those are your people. Those are your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt. They have corrupted themselves. So you is your people, not mine. All right. Emmanuel, you're smiling. Why are you smiling? Why are you smiling?
God said, your people.
God has now disowned them. God has now disowned them. God says that they're not my people. Because why? I have always known that they are a stiff-necked people. I know that. They are a stiff-necked people. God says in verse 9, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. You know what? God says, I'm done with them. They are making gods, saying that the gods deliver them, and I had no part. That's your people. I don't know if I know in I don't know if it is true in Ghana. I know it might be. Okay. Sometimes I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Chip, or if Emmanuel or Patrick has kids. Sometimes, and it does happen to you, Chip. I know you have what, 2 daughters?
Son and daughter.
A son and a daughter. Sometimes when one of your children would misbehave, all right, and the mother would come to you and say, well, go and talk to your son. He did something wrong. He said, well, you better go talk to your son, right? What is the point? I mean, I'm done with him. You deal with him now, right? That's the kind of thing that God is saying here. They're not my people. Most of your people, you won't deal with them. Because here's the point. I am going to wipe them off the face of the earth. You see, God says, why does God says, let me alone? Why do you think God says, let me alone, Moses? What does that suggest? Leave me alone. Let me alone.
It suggests his ever-knowing nature because
plead for them.
No, this is it. It shows that Moses is pleading for them. God says, look here, don't say anything to me. I am going to wipe. Don't you worry, beg for them. Don't you worry ever take up for them. Don't plead for them. I am going to wipe them off. Good? God has decided, look here, that's it. All right? No, but here's what God says. Let me alone that my wrath may burn hot against them, and that I may consume them. Well, God, what are you going to do when you consume them? When you kill them off? What's going to become of them? Okay, Moses, you want to know? Let me tell you why. What is going to happen? I'm going to make a people out of you, not them. Your people that are going to come from your offspring, that your offspring will be my great nation. No, not them. I'm done with them. I'm going to make, he says, I may consume them in order that I may make a great nation of you, Moses. All right? Now, God is going to wipe them off. All right? Now, watch this. And the prospect is, Moses, you are now going to become my great nation, your children. That is tempting for Moses, isn't it? Imagine a great nation is going to be made out of him and through him. Okay, now here is the situation. Now, I want you to see some things here that's going to be very, very important. Look at verses 11 through to 14. And I'm going to go back over all of this because I want to make you some, I want to give you some important information here. Look at verse. So God says, look here, I'm done with them. I'm going to wipe them off the face of the earth, and I'm going to make you a great nation. Don't say anything to me. Don't stop me. Don't plead for them. This is what I'm going to do. Now, notice what Moses does now in verses 11 to 14. All right. Somebody read that for me.
Then Moses pleaded with the Lord, his God, and said, Lord, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians speak and say, He brought them out to harm them, to kill them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce wrath and relent from this harm to your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self and said to them, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven. And all this land that I have spoken of, I give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. So the Lord relented from the harm which he said he would do to his people.
All right. I want you to notice something's important here. This is God and Moses are going to be arguing back and forth in 3 rounds. Right? This is a title bout, a boxing match, so to speak. And there are going to be 3 rounds between God and Moses here. All right? Watch this. Moses, what's the accusation? In fact, not just the accusation. What is the indictment that these people have? They have broken the first 3 commandments. Number 1, right? Go back to the commandment. Number 1, the first one that they broke. Let me just look at it. First one that they broke in verse 20, chapter 20. You shall not make any other, you shall have no other gods before me. So they broke that one, right? Up make us gods that will go before us. They broke that one. The second one they broke. You shall not make for yourself any graven image or likeness. They broke that one. Okay? You shall not take the Lord's name in vain. They broke that one. Because they are now celebrating and worshiping and saying, this is the God that delivered us. Taking away the glory and honor from God to this lifeless molten calf that they have made. So they broke the first 3 commandments. Now, what God is saying, I'm going to wipe them out, and it's going to be you, Moses, that I'm going to make a great nation of your descendants. Now, here are the 3 rounds now that Moses is going to make. Moses implored the Lord and says to him, O Lord God, why does your wrath burn not against your people? Now, why does your wrath burn hot against your people? Now, notice what Moses is doing. The God, your people whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and might. Why should the Egyptians say, with evil intent did he bring them out to kill them in the mountain and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn your burning anger and release and relent from this disaster against your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self and said to them that you're going to. Moses makes three arguments for God here. Do you know what the 3? Can you identify the 3 arguments that Moses makes to God here? Moses says, God, you can't destroy them.
I think Moses gives back the people of Israel to God. He doesn't take them for himself.
Good, perfect. He says they're your people. All right. What else? Huh?
He reminds them of the covenant, Moses reminds God of the covenant made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Okay, that's one. What other reason does he give? He gives 2 other reasons.
I mean, it sounds like he's like, well, why would you bring him out and do all this if you were just going to kill him?
All right. Yeah, that's another
You've gone
reason.
through a lot of trouble, God.
Okay. There's one other one. Here is what Moses does. Moses appeals to 3 things about God. Number 1, Moses appeals to God's nature. Moses appeals to God's nature. Number 1, Lord, you were the ones that redeemed them out of Israel, out of Egypt. Lord, you are Redeemer. You can't kill them now. You are Redeemer. You brought them out. They're your people. So don't. Why is your anger against them? You redeemed them. Right? The second thing that Moses appeals to God with is his word. His word, or God's integrity. Look here. Sorry, his word. God, you gave this. You gave them your word that you were going to deliver them. All right. Sorry, that is still number one. Your nature, you promised them that you redeem them, right? Number two, here's number two. God, Moses appeals to God's reputation. So first of all, he appeals to God's nature, that is, you gave them your word, Lord, that you were going to redeem them. You're a redeemer. The second one that God gives to Moses is that Moses gives to God is this: God, you have a reputation to protect. The Egyptians are going to laugh, saying you couldn't do anything about them. That's why you brought them out here to kill them. Don't let them laugh at you, Lord. Right? The Egyptians are going to say you couldn't deliver them, so you bring them out here and kill them. You have a reputation to protect, Lord. Don't do it. Okay? And the third one is God says to Moses, Moses says to God, God, you have an integrity. You have an integrity that you must protect. What is that integrity? You promised Aaron, you promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that you are going to keep the covenant. Remember the covenant. All right. So God says, so here it comes. In verse 10, you redeemed your people. That's verse 10, right? Sorry. Okay, let me go down. Okay, where he says you're a redeemer, is that verse 10? No, come down. Okay. Yes, you brought them out with a mighty hand, verse 11. All right. The second one is verse 12, your reputation. And verse 13, your integrity. Remember the covenant. Okay, so that's round one. Now, let us look at the next aspect of this. So we had read up to verse 14, right? We had read up to 34, 14.
Yes.
All right, watch this now. Then Moses, right? Good, right, great, yeah. All right, now watch this now. Look at verses now. Third.
Yes, sir.
Verse. Yes.
Can you please throw more light on verse 14? It says, so that the Lord relented from his harm, which he has said he will do to his people. So,
all right. Okay.
The emphasis is supposed to be on the Lord relented.
All right. God decided, all right, Moses, you and I are, okay, you, Moses, are trying to convince me why I shouldn't kill them. All right, here's what you're telling me, Moses, that I have my nature, you're appealing to my reputation, you're appealing to my integrity. Don't kill them. All of those 3 points that, you know, Moses, I think you have a point. I think you're right. I'm not going to wipe them off anymore. I've changed my mind. I have relented. In other words, I'm not going to do what I originally intended to do. Why? Because you have now showed me why I shouldn't. My nature, my reputation, and my integrity. I did make a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yes. I did redeem them. Yes. And I don't want the Egyptians to tell me, or anybody to tell me that I'm powerless. I couldn't do them. That's why I brought them out here. So you know what? Moses, you're right. I'm not going to kill them. I'm going to spare them. Because of you, I'm going to spare them. Because of your pleading with them, I am not going to harm them or to wipe them off the face of the earth as I had promised. That's what it means. What? Does that sound unlike God to you?
Oh, I'm understand.
Okay.
It's well understood, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So can we
Okay.
also say the unchangeable God? There's no way God can change his promise since his covenant love that he has already made. There's no way God is going to change his character of covenant love. That is, I can't remember in the we are learning the book of Hebrew, and he made mention of Hesed. That is a covenant love. God is going to maintain it,
All
even
right.
though his children has disobeyed his commandments. But since he's a faithful God, there's no way he's going to, go against that.
All right. Okay. Here are some things that we need to keep in mind. A lot of things that we need to keep in mind here. Um, Number one, God's God's promises and punishment is conditional. God says, if you do this, I will do this. So God's conditions, God's promises, his God's promises, God's punishment, God's reward, they are conditional. They are conditional on how man responds to it. It is not so much that God has changed, but that God acts in the direction of man. So, for instance, God sets up this. God says, if you do this, this will happen. If you do that, that will happen. And you, human beings, decide how you want me to treat you. So, God says, you're going down that road, you're going to be destroyed. And I'm going to destroy you. But then I change, you change your direction, and God says, okay, then I won't destroy you anymore. I will save you. It's not that God has changed the way we understand change, but it is that God is responding to how we respond to his command. That's one. Here is something else that we need to consider. While God does not change in terms of his character, God changes in terms of his methodology, for want of a better term. Let me explain what I mean. God is always just. God is always forgiving. The way God chooses to carry out his will in one moment in time, under one covenant, under one dispensation, changes, but his character doesn't change. All right? Simple illustration. God, at one point, we're told, fed the people in Israel with manna in the wilderness. And then we're told he no longer does that. Why? The means by which he carried out his will can change, but his character doesn't change.
I got a question.
God still wants us to worship him because worship is his right, worship is his due. But how we worship God today has changed from under the Old Testament system. We no longer worship God through carnal things. So we don't give a lamb. Our worship is not in incense and offerings and burnt offerings. That's carnal. God now expects our worship to be spiritually based, spiritual. And that is the point of John chapter 4. So what I'm saying, what God demands of us in one dispensation might not necessarily be what he demands in another dispensation. God expected the people under the Mosaic system to give tithes. He does not require us to give tithes on the New Testament. But does he expect us to give him willingly and freely and lovingly? Yes, that has always been the case.
I got a question, Eddie.
Yes.
So when we're talking about covenants, I'm just rolling through them in my brain. You have the Noah covenant. So that was unconditional on Noah's end. That was a promise that God gave to him. Then as you walk down through the promises, the covenants, you got then Abraham. Now the only thing that they were required to do was circumcision, right? But that would have been conditional. So that would be the first conditional covenant, would be the Abrahamic covenant.
I would want to say yes. Yeah.
Because they would have to be circumcised to be in order or to be following what God had told them.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get all this hammered out. I like to talk it out, so I know that.
No problem. And this is the place to do it. But the point I'm trying to make is that when we say that God relents or God changes, we need to understand what we mean. Oh, here's a good example. It's like a thermometer. The mercury inside a thermometer doesn't change, but it will move up and down, if I'm right, depending on the environment outside of it. So if it's cold, it goes a particular direction. If it's hot, it goes a particular direction. So that's the kind of thing. But the mercury in essence does not change, right? But the conditions are outside of it. The thermometer changes, and therefore the mercury will react to that. And that is it. That's, I think, an example I think I could use. God does not change in his character, in his nature, but his will can change and his word can change. In other words, what God wills in one covenant might not be the same he wills for another covenant. Now, here's another point I want to make, is that the other point is that in terms of God's, there are certain the ultimate will of God can never change. In other words, God will that sin is punished. That nobody, okay, God willed that Jesus Christ would come to save man. There's nothing that could have changed that. No Pharaoh, no Herod, nobody could change that. And God, we see, can use sorry, the evil of man, even that, to bring out his own will. All right, so that's the situation. So when it says that God relented here, it means that God decided that he was not going to do what he wanted to do again to them, because Moses is interceding with them, and God says, "Okay, have a point. I'm going to, I won't do what I intended to do." All right, so that basically
Eddie.
is what. Yes. Go ahead.
So it basically means when God said he will make a new nation out of Moses, it meant God would have still carried his covenant he made with Abraham through Moses, even after
Yes.
wiping away
Yes.
Israel.
God, yeah, it's like God said, I don't need them to carry out my will. I can do it through you. I can do it through you if you want. You see what I mean? I can do it through you if you want.
Okay,
Not a
thank
problem.
you.
All right.
Can we take a bathroom break, brother?
Okay. All right. It's now, we usually break at 10 quarter to. If you want to break now, we could
A
take the
quarter to
break
11?
now. We
Is that what you're
usually,
talking about?
okay. We need to take the break now, because we usually take the break at 10:30. All right, let's take the break now. It's now 14 minutes to 11. If my memory is right, or 22. Let's get back. Let's come back at. We usually take the break at 10:30, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
And come back at
10:45.
10:45. It's now, let's say this is 20 minutes to 11. Let's come back at 5 to up. Let's come back at 5 to 11.
Okay.
All right. We come back at 5 to 11. All right. Let's take the break.
So our summary / notes due tomorrow go through which all classes is it 3, 4, 5, and 6?
No, remember you did chapters 1, 2. Let me see the syllabus.
Yeah, I want to send you the right stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of, because the way I've been doing all these things is it's in each session, So I have like each session's information in one file. So I'm gonna have to put them together if you want them on the LMS.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find out where, if you have the syllabus there,
look on there.
Notes
What up?
That I need to.
Syllabus, where are you?
All right. The first one you did was chapters 1 to 4, right? I think. Look at the syllabus. I think.
Okay, so it's going to be session 5, 6, 7, and 8 for this next one.
Right, yeah.
Beautiful. That's all I needed to know.
Okay, that's no problem.
Beautiful. 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right.
Is everybody back? No? Okay.
Hey, can I once I get done with this, I'm working on this in paper. Can I send it to you before, and you maybe give me some critiques,
no problem.
and then send it in again?
No problem. Fine.
Okay.
That's okay with me. That's fine.
And then when it comes to the Chicago style, I'm still struggling with the.
Okay, I think there is on the LMS a template. I'll look at it. I'm almost sure that there's a template on the LMS.
Okay.
If it's there, I'll invite you to look at it. If not, then I'll make sure that it's up there. But I think I'm almost sure that it's there. All right, I'm almost sure it's there.
And then like a cover thing for it. What is that? What should that have on it?
The name of the paper, your name, the name of the paper, the title of the paper, name of the course, the title of the paper, my name on it, your name on it, that kind of thing. Okay. Yeah. I'll send you, if it's not on the LMS, I'll send you something, but I'm almost sure that it is there. So I'll make sure that you get what you need.
Thank you.
All right, there's no sweat, no problem with that. All right. So we were at the situation where Moses appeals to God for the fact that he should remember the covenant he made with Abraham, safeguard his reputation, and keep the integrity of his word, and that remember that of his nature, he is Redeemer, so he has redeemed this people for himself, and all of that. So now let's look at I think we read up to verse 14. All right, now verse 15. Then Moses turned and went down from the mountain with the 2 tables of the testimony in his hands, tablets that were written on both sides on the front and on the back. They were written. The tablets were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, engraved on the tablets. When Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said, "There is a noise of war in the camp." But he said, "It is not the sound of shouting for victory, but the sound of the cry of the feet." but the sound of the singing that I hear. And as soon as he came near the camp, he saw the calf and the dancing. Moses' anger burnt hot, and he threw the tablets out of his hand and broke them, and the foot of the at the foot of the mountains he took the calf that they had made and burnt it with fire, burnt it and with fire, and ground it to the powder and scattered it on the water and made the people of Israel drink it. All right. Now, in these verses, what we have is Moses's dreadful anger coming down from the mountain. And you notice, because Joshua is a man of war, what Joshua hears, the singing and the whatever he hears is not, he says, that sounds like the sound of war, but there's no victory or defeat. That's singing. It's just typical that Joshua would think of war because he's a man of valor, he's a man of war. All right. So Moses comes down, and in his anger he destroys the golden calf, burns it, uses after grounding it, burns it, pours it in the water, and he makes the people drink it. It's as if he is saying, this is of your doing. This is coming from you. This is actually you're spitting it out from you. All right, from out of yourselves. So let you must now absorb the sinfulness of what you have done. Now, here is what we have as we go down into the verse. Could somebody read verses 21 through to verse 29? And we're going to look at these verses for a while. Verses 21 to 29.
And Moses said to Aaron, what did these people do to you that you have brought so great a sin upon them? So Aaron said, do not let the anger of my Lord become hot. You know the people, that they are set on evil. For they said to me, make us gods that shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us out of the land of Egypt, we did not know what has become of him. And I said to them, whoever has any gold, let them break it off. So that they gave it to me, and I cast it into the fire, and this calf came out. When Moses saw that the people were unstrained, for Aaron had not restrained them, to their shame among their enemies, then Moses stood in the entrance of the camp and said, whoever is on the Lord's side, come to me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together to him. And he said to them, thus says the Lord God of Israel, let every man put his sword on his side and go in and out from entrance to entrance throughout the camp. And let every man kill his brother, every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. So the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moses, and about 3,000 men of the people fell that day. Then Moses said, consecrate yourself today to the Lord, that he may bestow on you a blessing this day, for every man has opposed his son and his brother.
All right, okay. Now, did Aaron speak the truth? Did Aaron speak the truth about what happened?
Aaron told the truth, but he passed the buck. He wouldn't take responsibility himself.
All right.
He put it
Anybody
on
else?
the Israelites.
Did Aaron speak the truth?
Yes, sir.
No. Yes and no, he didn't. Okay, watch the truth that Aaron is supposed to tell. Verse 22. Don't let your anger burn against me, for they said to me, make us gods who shall go up before us. For this Moses, the man who hath brought you up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. So I said to them, let any who have gold take off. So they gave it to me, and I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf. Is that true?
No.
That's false statement.
Well,
32 says what he did.
He did. The people did say, where Moses is, we don't know what has become of him. But he didn't just throw the thing in the fire and out came the calf.
Right.
No, Aaron. What? Say it again.
He fashioned it. 32:4 says he took this from their hand and fashioned it with a graving tool and made it into a molten calf.
Right. So he didn't speak the truth. Now here's my point. Moses, Aaron, you really believe that people are going? No, put it another way. Do you really believe that I am going to believe you that you just threw all of the gold and silver and everything and out came this calf? You really believe that I'm going to believe that, Aaron? Would you have believed Aaron? Any of the three of you, would you have, if Aaron had told you that, would you have believed Aaron? That he just took the things out of people's ear, threw it in the fire. Say again?
Was it that he was using a literary device, like that's what he could make out of it?
So what device is that? Now let me show you something. That was Patrick. That was Patrick that just answered.
Yes.
Patrick, if you would believe, would you believe that if Aaron had told you that? That he just threw the gold in and out came this, no, you wouldn't. You would laugh at him and say, you must think that I'm an idiot.
No.
That coward. Here's my point. Right? Here's my point.
Yeah.
The calf was designed. The calf was designed. All right? The calf is a product of somebody's design. Therefore, it must have had a designer. Agreed? Once you see a design, there must be a designer. That's logical. Now, nobody is stupid enough to believe that you just threw all of these different gold and silver and out come this calf. Nobody expects anybody with any rationality and common sense believe that. Good? Because a design demands a designer. Do we agree with that? Hello?
Yes.
All right. Let me put this question
Yes,
another
sir.
way. Look at the design in the world. You are going to tell me that there was this big bang explosion, and out of that big bang explosion, this world and this universe with the stars and the planet just came about like that, and you expect me to believe that? The scientists will tell you that the world just came out of a new whatever atomic or atmospheric explosion, and out came all of these things in the world. You really expect me to believe that nonsense? If you believe that the earth,
No, no,
the
no, no.
world that has a design, intricate design, could just come out of nothing, you are as irrational as to believe what Aaron told you. Right? If you can't believe what Aaron told you here, then you shouldn't believe that the world just, there's this big bang explosion that out came this organized, intelligent world. No, the world was created by an intelligent mind. In the same way that the golden calf was designed, shaped, fashioned, carved by an intelligent mind, Aaron. See what I'm saying? But here, look at this now. When Moses asked the question, who is on the Lord's side? Who are the persons that responded? All right, who is the person that responded?
The Levites.
Joshua?
The Levites. All right. Now, what did the Levites do?
That was the high priest, the priestly division of the Israelites.
Yeah, but what did they do? Okay, look at verse. I need verse. When Moses says, "Who's on the Lord's side?"
26, is it?
I need verse 26 and 27, and tell me what happened.
Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." And all the sons of Levi gathered together to him. He said to them, "Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, every man of you put his sword upon his thigh, and go back and forth from the gate to gate in the camp, and kill every man and his brother, and every man his friend, and every man his neighbor."
All right. Verse 28.
So the sons of Levi did as Moses instructed, and about 3,000 men of the people fell that day.
All right. Now, does that number ring a bell to you? How many of them were killed?
On the day of Pentecost.
Yes. 3,000.
On the day of Pentecost.
You're right. I want you to see something here. This is the inauguration of the new covenant. Sorry, of the old covenant. We're told that about 3,000 persons were killed at the inauguration of the old covenant. When the new covenant is being inaugurated, we are told that about 3,000 souls were saved. All right? So there is, and I'm going to come back to that. On that day, about 3,000 of them were slaughtered. Why? Because of their disobedience. And so God ordained the tribe of Levi to be the priestly tribe and to uh, start the service of the Lord, kill all of those, and about 3,000 souls were there. Now, there is something that I want us to see here. In this case, Moses, when he's pleading with God, Moses becomes a mediator. Moses becomes a mediator interceding on behalf of the people before God. So one of the roles of Moses here in this book of Exodus is the fact that he is mediator. He's intercessor. And I'm going to make I'll make a further point with that. So Moses becomes almost like a Christ figure. Moses, in terms of typology, represents Jesus Christ, or is that Moses typologically is a type of Christ in this situation, in this scene, that he is the type, and Christ will be the antitype. He's acting in the same way that Jesus Christ becomes a mediator.
You called this the inauguration of the Old Testament? Is that what you said?
Right, of the Old Covenant, yeah. Because this is when Moses is going up there to get the Ten Commandments. And not just the Ten Commandments, but the Old Covenant system. And when this is happening, about 3,000 persons were killed. When the New Testament is being inaugurated, about 3,000 souls are being saved. All right. So I want you to see that connection there. Now, look at verses 31 through to 35. In this case, we're told, the next day Moses said to the people, "You have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sins." So Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Alas, the people have sinned this great sin. They have made for themselves gods of gold. But now, if you will forgive their sins, but if not, please blot me out of your book that you have written." But the Lord said to Moses, whoever has sinned against me, I will blot out of my book. But now go, lead the people to the place about which I have spoken to you. Behold, my angel shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit, I will visit their sins upon them. Then the Lord sent a plague on the people because they made the calf, the one that Aaron made. Now, here is what is happening in these verses. That idea of the plague doesn't mean disease. The plague means here a strike, a blow. I have made a blow against them. I have struck them. All right? So Moses goes back to God on the mountain and he talks with God on behalf of the people. And what God does is reserve the right to punish them at a later date. It is not a disease, but that he will strike a blow on them. That's the idea here. All right, he will strike a blow with them here. Now, I want you to see something in this situation here in verses 32, in chapter 32. There's something that is crucial. Moses goes to God, and Moses is appealing to God on their behalf. All right? Moses is their intercessor, Moses is their mediator. There is something I want us to see here. God calls this a great sin. It is a great sin that these people have committed. All right? A very grievous sin. But I want us to see something about the character of God here, which is going to be very, very important. Something about the character of God. And the passage that I really want us to look at is Psalm 106. Let's go to Psalm 106. If I can find where that passage about God. Go to Psalm 106 of it, please. Let me turn to it. And it's going to tell us something about the God that is going to be characteristic of God, that he's going to reveal himself. And suited is the verse that I want.
That's 29.
Let me hear verse 29, if that's the verse I want.
And thus they provoked him to anger with their deeds, and the plague broke out among them.
All right. There's something that God says about himself in this verse that I want.
19. Verse 19.
Let me hear verse 19.
They made a calf in Horeb and worshipped the molded image.
Go on. Yeah, read on.
They changed their glory into the image of an ox that eats grass. They forgot God their Savior, who had done great things in Egypt, wondrous works in the land of Ham, awesome things by the Red Sea. Therefore he said that he would destroy them. Had not Moses, his chosen one, stood before him in the breach to turn away his wrath, lest he destroy them? Then they despised the pleasant land. They did not believe his word, but complained in their tents, and did not heed the voice of the Lord.
All right. Now, what the psalmist is doing is recounting what took place at Mount Sinai there. All right. The verse that I really want is where God talks about that he's a forgiving God, that he's a compassionate God. Let me see, Psalm 108. Where God speaks about himself. I'll find the verse. I thought I had it in my notes. Where God says that he's a compassionate God, and that in a sense sums up all that God is. And that's the theme that's repeated throughout the uh, entire scriptures about God.
That Romans, the first chapter of Romans section really just keys onto this, doesn't it?
Romans chapter 1 talks about how we have changed the creator and made the creator into a creature,
Mm-hmm.
or the creature into a
Almost word
creature.
for word.
Yes, and the idea is that they have actually turned God into what he's not. The passage I want is it's an important passage. I thought I had it in my notes. I'm going to be giving that, I'll give that to you tomorrow, because it is a passage I want us to comment on a little while, where God says that he has redeemed them, that he's compassionate, he does not keep his anger forever. Okay, it's Psalm 103. It's Psalm 103. Now, yes. Look at verse 7 to 10. Now that would hold that for a while. Now this is, let's hold that for a while. All right. I'm going to come to it. When we leave chapter 2, all right, God says, I'm not going to go with you. I'm going to walk with you. I'm not going to go with you. I'm not going to be in the midst of you. I'm going to go, and I'm going to let the angel go before you. But for you, Moses, don't worry. I am going to be with you. All right. Now, coming down to chapter 33. Hold on to Psalm 103 for me, please. All right. When we come to Exodus chapter 33, verse 1 to verse 6, what we're going to see here is that there are going to be, as I said before, 3 rounds that Moses is going to have with God. That Moses is going to be battling with God. Now, look at verses 1 to 6. Watch this. The Lord said to Moses, depart, go up from here, you and the people whom you have brought up out of the land of Egypt, to the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, to your offspring I will give it. I will send an angel before. That's I'm not going with you. Because of what the people have done, I'm not going with them. I'm not going to be in the midst of them. I'm going to send an angel to go with them. All right? An angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanites, Amorites, Hittites, all of those nations. Go to a land flowing with milk and honey. But I will go up among you, but I will not go up among you, lest I consume you upon the way. For you are a stiff-necked people. God says, I'm not going to go with you. You're going to go to the promised land because I promised you that, but I'm not coming with you. All right? You're going to go on your own. Okay? Now, when the people heard this disastrous word, what word? That God is not going to go with them. Because of what they did, they mourned. And no one put on his ornaments. For the Lord had said to Moses, say to the people, you are a stiff-necked people. If for a single moment I should go up among you, I would consume you. So take off your ornaments, that I may know just what to do with you. In other words, God says, remember I told Moses that I will destroy them later. What Moses is saying, what God is saying here, they must leave Sinai, but he's not going to go with them. Because if he goes with them, he would kill them off. All right? Now, notice now, Moses in verse 7 to 11. What Moses does in verses 7 to 11. Somebody read that for me, please. Verses 7 to 11 of chapter 33.
Moses took his tent and pitched it outside the camp, far from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of meeting. And it came to pass that everyone who sought the Lord went out to the tabernacle of meeting, which was outside the camp. So it was whenever Moses went out to the tabernacle that all the people rose, and each man stood at his tent door and watched Moses until he had gone into the tabernacle. And it came to pass when Moses entered the tabernacle that the pillar of cloud descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle. And the Lord talked with Moses. All the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose and worshipped, each man in his tent door. So the Lord spoke to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend, and he would return to the camp. But his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, did not depart from the tabernacle.
All right. God, remember, the tabernacle is not yet built. And what is happening is that God, the tabernacle has not yet been built, and that God is meeting with Moses face to face in the tent. And the glory of God comes over with a cloud, and they are meeting them, and the people know that he's meeting them, and they are there. They're there worshiping. All right. Now here is what happens in verses 12 and 13. Moses said to the Lord, "See, you say to me, bring up this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found favor in my sight. Now therefore, if I have found favor in your sight, please show me your ways, that I may know you in order to find favor in your sight. Consider too, this nation is your people." What Moses is asking for here is important. Moses in these verses has an intimate relationship with God. And what he's asking Moses, what he's asking God to do, Moses, is saying, "Lord, show me your glory." All right? He's saying, "Show me your glory. I want to see your glory." All right? Now, this is important. Um, he wants, remember that Moses is talking to God face to face. And Moses is making 4 requests of God here. He wants one, Moses wanted to know if God was going to be with him. Moses is also suggesting that if God is not going with him, then the journey won't be worth it. That's what Moses is saying. I need you to come with me, because if you don't come with me, what do we have? Nothing. All right. Now, Moses wants God to show him his glory. All right. Notice God is going to show him his glory. All right. Look, in verses 19 to the end of the chapter, we see that God is going to be showing Moses what he calls his glory. But notice something here now, and this is the passage that I want. God, in showing Moses his glory, is going to say something. All right. Now, notice this. When you just stop reading at verse 13, right? We just
Yes.
Right. Now, notice now. And he said, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest. That is you, Moses. And he has said to him, if your presence will not go with me, do not bring us up from here. For how shall it be known that I have found favor in your sight? And your people, is it not in your going with us that we are distinct? I am your people, I and your people from every other people on the face of the earth. You know what God Moses is saying to God? Look here, God. If you don't go with me, if you don't go with us, how are we going to be different from other people? We'll be just like the other nation if we don't have you with us. So you need to go with us because it is this that is going to distinguish your people that you have redeemed from everybody else. How are we going to know? Show us. And he says, I want you to show me your glory. And God is going to show him his glory. Watch this. And the Lord said to Moses, this very thing that you have spoken, I will do for you. For you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. Moses says, please show me your glory. And he said, I will make all my, notice now, what is God's glory? I will be, please show me your glory. What is God's glory? I will make all my goodness pass before you and will proclaim before you my name, the Lord. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show mercy whom I will show mercy. But he said, you cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live. And the Lord said, behold, there is a place by me where you shall stand on the rock. And while, watch this, while my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock, and I will cover you with my hand until I have passed. Then I will make a way, take away my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen. God, Moses, there are about 5 to 6 times that the idea of seeing God's face appears in this passage. Moses is talking to God face to face. I want to come into your presence. That word presence is the word face. I want to see your face. Show me your face. Show me your glory. What does God say? Here is my glory. I will be gracious. I will be compassionate. I will be the God who will be good to you. That's my glory. Now notice this now. Notice this now. Now is where I want Psalm 103, verse 7 to 10. Psalm 103, verse 7 to 10.
He made known his ways to Moses, his acts to the children of Israel. The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in mercy. He will not always strive with us, nor will he keep his anger forever. He has not dealt with us according to our sins, nor punished us according to our iniquities.
That's it. What verse is
Yes.
that? What verse is it?
7,
Verse 10.
7, yes, 7 to 10.
All right, here's my point now. What would you say is God's glory here? Because God is telling Moses about what is his glory. How does God describe himself here? Because this is God's own words. All right. Can you pick up what God is saying here in Psalm 107 verse Psalm 103 verse 7 to 10? No. All right. Let me explain something here. This is God talking about who he is. What do we know? He is merciful and gracious. He's slow to anger. He's steadfast in love. He will not always chide. He will not keep his anger forever. He does not deal with us according to our sins, nor repay us. God is at the same time loving, gracious, and merciful. But at the same time, he is righteous not to let the guilty go free. He will punish the guilty. But at the same time, he will be compassionate and merciful to those who seek him. That's what God is. So, go back to Exodus. So when Moses says, look here, show me your glory. What God says, you want to know who I am? You want to know how I'm glorified and what is the kind of person that I am? I am God, I am Yahweh, I'm Jehovah. I am merciful and compassionate, but at the same time, I am righteous enough not to allow the guilty go free. But I will forgive. I'll forgive and I will be merciful. So that's what we have in verse number 30 in chapter 33, where God comes to Moses in the tent of meeting because the tabernacle is not there, and God is telling, this is how you want to see my glory, this is who I am. You get what I'm saying? All right. Now,
Yes.
what we have in chapter 33 right down is Moses again taking on the role of intercessor, taking on the role of pleading on behalf of his people. If you don't go with us, God, then we're no different from other nations. If we don't have you in amongst us, we're no different from other nations. And it doesn't make any sense that we go anywhere, because you have to be with us. All right? Now, when we come now, anything that you want to point out about chapter 33 before we go on? All right? Now, here is what we're going to have again.
Eddie.
Yeah. Yes.
From 33, it looks like initially God wanted to wipe away all of Israel, but later when he came back to them in judgment, he punished those who were directly involved in the sin.
Yeah. Yes, he did. Yeah, and that is why the 3,000 were were killed. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's why the
Yeah.
3,000 were killed, because God is not going to punish the guilty, but on Moses's behalf, or on Moses in
Intercession.
intercessorship or intercession, right? Thank you. Um, God is going to spare them. God did spare them. All right. So Moses now is coming and seeing God face to face. Show me. Now, what we have in chapter 34 is Moses is going to have the covenant again being done over, so to speak. And also the covenant, God is going to renew the covenant with them. All right. So here's what is happening now. Chapter 34, we can have chapter 34 being divided into Moses making a new tabernacle, and then the covenant is going to be renewed. Notice this now. The Lord said to Moses, out, cut for yourself 2 tablets like unto the first, and I will write on the table, the tablets, the words that were on the could somebody read that for me, please? From chapter 34, verses 1 through to 9.
And the Lord said to Moses, cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones, and I will write on these tablets the words that were on the first tablet which you broke. So be ready in the morning, and come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present yourself to me there on the top of the mountain. And no man shall come up with you, and let no man be seen throughout all the mountain. Let neither flocks nor herds feed before the mountain. So he cut 2 tablets of stone like the first ones. Then Moses rose early in the morning and went up Mount Sinai, as the Lord had commanded him, and he took in his hand the 2 tablets of stone. Now the Lord descended in the cloud and stood with him there, and proclaimed the name of the Lord.
Stop there a minute, Patrick. No, this is what the name of the Lord is. Notice how God is going to proclaim and declare himself. Yeah, go on.
And the Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord God, merciful and gracious, long suffering, and abounding in good work, and abounding in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and the children's children to the 3rd and the 4th generation. So Moses made haste and bowed his head towards the earth and worshipped. Then he said, if now I have found grace in your sight, O Lord, let my Lord, I pray, go among us, even though we are a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us as your inheritance. Amen.
All right. No. Okay, great. Now you see what is happening here is that Moses again is playing an intercessory role. Go with us. You, and God tells us who he is. I want us to see some things here. All right. Between chapter 33 and 34, there are some things that we must keep in mind. All right, number one, let me give you the first one. Moses makes the following request to God in these verses. Moses is making a request to God, and God is going to answer them between chapter 33 and 34. The first one is this: will God be with you? Or will God be with us? We see that in chapter 33, verse 12 to 13. Will God be with us? And God's first response is, my face will walk with you, in chapter 33 and verse 14. So will you go with us? Chapter 33, 12 to 13. God says, my face will walk with you. Chapter 33 and verse 14. The second request that Moses makes is this: will God be with his people? In chapter 33, verse 15 to 16, will God be with his people? And God's answer, he will come too. He will go with them as well. That is, you see that in verse 17 of chapter 33. Here is Moses' third request. Show me your glory. Chapter 33 and verse 13. Show me your glory. Chapter 33 and verse 13. God's response to Moses, I will show you my goodness. I will show you my goodness. And he does that in chapter 33 and verse 15. In chapter 34, verses 8 to 9, Moses requests or asks for future security. That is in chapter 34, verse 8 to 9. Request the future to be secure, right? Same thing. And God says, I will renew the covenant with you. Chapter 34, verse 27 to 28. Now, what does chapter 34 deal with? Chapter 34 gives us the renewal of the covenant. And here we see the shining face of Moses. Now, look at chapter 34, all right, where the covenant is renewed. And we see that from verse 10 right down to verse 25, or about 26, run about there, where God is renewing the covenant. All right. So we see that in those verses, the feast of the unleavened bread in verse 18, the firstborn donkeys, the 6 days, verse 27. So God is renewing the covenant. Notice now, and a passage that we've read all the while, we read it now as we come to verse 34. And the Lord said to Moses, write these words, and Moses writes the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. All right. Now, what happens between verses 29 and the end of the chapter? We see, because Moses has been with the presence of God and in the presence of God, we see his shining face. And what he had to do, coming back from the meeting with God, the people could not see the face because Moses' face was shining. And Paul is going to use this story in 2 Corinthians 3, 7 to 18, making the point that the old covenant has gone. All right, so that is what we have in Exodus 32 right down to chapter 34. All right, that's what we have in these chapters. Now, they're very important chapters because that's their sin, the punishment, and the renewal of the covenant. All right. Okay. Any highlights that you found from the class? Any thing that struck you? Any take-home messages? Anything?
Yeah, it gives a very strong indication once again about God's faithfulness, in that his character cannot allow him to be unfaithful, and he is forever faithful to those that he makes covenant with.
Yeah. All right. Emmanuel seems to be gone again. I can't seem to get that
Chip is backstage. He wants you to add him so that he can make his comments.
Okay. I'm trying to add him. I'm not seeing where. Okay.
Good.
Yes, Chip.
Hey, how's it going?
Yes. We just finished verse 30. Any take home from the passage? Any take home? Anything that struck you from the class today in general? About chapters 34 to 30, 32 to 34?
It's interesting to see how God is involved in everything. It's wild to watch all this jewelry and treasures make its way down through men's hands and ultimately be used for God's purpose, whatever that was. That's pretty interesting to watch that path of the jewelry and things from Egypt circling around through the Israelites, holding them, making idols with them, having to drink said gold. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just interesting to me to be able to track it down. But God's plan is brought to fruition. It's just interesting to see these things that we as men elevate, but that's not the thing. It's what created the thing was the thing.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay. I'm trying to add back Emmanuel. Let me see. Yes, Emmanuel. Am I see? Yes, Emmanuel, go ahead.
Are we to, say something?
Just to wrap up about in terms of what you thought about the class and about what we learned from the class, basically. Any take homes?
Okay. My takeaway My take home is what I have learned is that looking at chapter, what we discussed today, God is faithful to his word. And no matter how Moses was the mediator between the Israelites and God, and anytime the Israelites sin against God, Moses will plead on behalf of them. That means as a preacher or as a leader in God's congregation, we must pray for our members in terms of when they are weak. We must also intercede on their behalf. No matter the consequences that may come on our way, there is still God who will fight for us. Even when we are weak, he strengthens us. That is my takeaway home.
All right, yeah. All right, yeah. I think one of the things that comes across in these verses is how that God will work his purpose out. It doesn't matter how man might divert and try to thwart it,
Yeah.
that God will work his purpose out. All right. So that's basically verses 34, chapters 32 to 34. Tomorrow we're going to look at how again the tabernacle is going to be constructed, and we will move on from there. All right. Okay. Emmanuel, you want to dismiss us, please?
Yes, sir.
Eddie, please do
Yes.
want to rename today's session because it's already named session 12. It's supposed to be session 11.
Yes, it's session 11. Yes. Yeah, that's it. All right. Yes, Emmanuel, go ahead.
Faithful and everlasting Father, we appreciate your kindness towards us, for us to able to understand your word and also impart onto the world this crooked generation in which you have commanded us to go and redeem them according to your word. Father, give us understanding anytime we pick up your word so that we can also impart it. We also commit our lecturer or a teacher also unto your care. Give him understanding of your word so that anytime that he grants an opportunity for us to, digest or instigate your word, we should be able to do it in a harmonious way. We also commit our brother who is not feeling well, our brother David, also unto your care. Continue to stretch forth your healing hand also unto him so that you grant him a successful healing, and at the end we will all with one accord will come and study your word together with happiness. We thank you for listening to our prayer through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank
Amen.
you very much, and we will see you tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you too, Eddie. Bless you.
Yeah, man. No problem.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.